The following program is produced by students of the Brian Lamb School of Communication at Purdue University. On this edition of Fast Track, West Lafayette roads are about to change drastically. We caught up with Mayor John Dennis to discuss the coming start of the State Street project.
And later we sit down with Neon Cactus's Bruce Barker and take a look into the life as Purdue's piano man. Fast Track starts now. Welcome to this week's edition of Fast Track. It's Christmas time at Purdue, and throughout the show, we will be coming to you from locations in Purdue Memorial Union. I'm Molly Shaughnessy.
And I'm Trevor Peters. Anyone that's driven through West Lafayette has undoubtedly experienced some kind of traffic congestion. With a Big Ten University and all of its campus events and home sporting games, the city has had a difficult time dealing with all Purdue's traffic until now.
In 2017, Purdue and the city are teaming up to tackle the traffic with the State Street project. And we sat down with Mayor of West Lafayette to get details on the upcoming construction that's about to hit. Fast Track's reporter Robert Dupler is out with more of the story.
Behind me is State Street. It's one of the main routes into Purdue from the southeast, and it's lined with businesses and shops. State Street experiences some of the heaviest traffic in West Lafayette, and the city is starting new construction so that it can better handle all that traffic.
If you've ever been in West Lafayette during say a home Purdue football game or a home basketball game, you realize a lot of our major thoroughfares turn into parking lots. And the reason for that is because there's too many cars trying to go to the same place at the same time without options. One of the challenges that we've had with our community is the fact that all the roads don't make a great deal of sense. So we feel it's incumbent upon us to engineer some of those complications out by making the roads two-way, by narrowing the roads and providing some foot trails, having bump outs for public transportation, and then obviously making it more intuitive and more logical for people to get around campus.
While the final project will help ease the flow of vehicle and foot traffic, the mayor wants to make sure that people know what's coming right around the corner.
It is going to be a mess. For what we've done with the CSO project down at the bottom of State Street Hill and 231 there, the North River Road project, that's invasive, but multiply that times 10. There's going to be a lot of heavy equipment going around, and there's going to be detours, and those detours could change weekly depending upon the speed of the project.
It's not just drivers and pedestrians that'll be affected. At least one local business is already preparing their game plan for how they'll handle next year's construction.
The first thing that we did to start preparing is kind of break down the business and look at how much of our business is foot traffic, how much of the business is delivery, and how much of the business is people who are driving from campus or from another location, utilizing the parking lot or State Street to get to us. If a majority of our business is delivery, then how much will State Street actually hurt us? As long as they, give us the options for delivery drivers to be able to, say, park behind us and still deliver to campus, we shouldn't feel the effects all that much.
Managers understand that they'll still have a huge part to do in reaching out to the community.
I think it's just a matter of always communicating to them how they can still reach us, or delivery is still available and they don't have to go without their hot box breadsticks for a day.
The State Street project is scheduled to be completed in 2019. The next few years will be rough, but businesses and the city both agree that the project will bring good changes for West Lafayette in the long run.
I think long term it's going to be great for us. The smoother traffic can go, the smoother my delivery drivers can move in and out, lowering our delivery times, which increases our business. So I really only see it as a great thing. I think that by 2019, we're going to have the plans in place of how we're going to revamp Chauncey Hill as well. And I think all of that will be considered. So I really look at it only as a positive thing.
We've used the cliche of it being a game changer. Well, it really is, because it's going to change the dynamic of the campus. It's going to change the dynamic of the city of West Lafayette. It's going to take what basically was a small town and turn it into this incredible contemporary development area that's going to celebrate student housing. We're going to have much more retail to accommodate our population base. There's going to be a lot of really diverse and creative investments out there, with the understanding that once you graduate from Purdue with your degree, before the ink even dries, there's going to be an opportunity for you to get gainful employment in West Lafayette.
Robert Dupler, Fast Track News.
On Thursday nights, it's a common scene on campus. Students walking down to the levee with their cactus cups on their belt, ready for a night of fun at the Neon Cactus. And one of the longtime employees is a favorite amongst those students.
That's right. And our own Trevor Peters made his way down to the Cactus last Thursday for a special sit-down with piano man Bruce Barker.
It's a scene most Purdue students know. Thursdays at the Neon Cactus have almost turned into a weekly holiday for some. But for most students, their Cactus experience revolves around one guy, the guy behind the piano.
Can you Photoshop me skinnier?
Bruce Barker is celebrating 21 years as Purdue's piano man at the Cactus. His weekly show attracts hundreds of college students each Thursday, and his musical talent is very apparent, but it's a talent that started from a very young age.
I've always been able to sing. I could always sing. You know, my parents couldn't afford video cameras, but we had a little cassette player. And there's a tape floating around somewhere on cassette of me doing an Elvis concert to my two biggest fans, my mom and dad. And then really, you know, you discover pretty early that what you do best. And I think God's biggest gift to me was the ability to sing.
Bruce has called Lafayette home all of his life. After graduating high school, he enrolled at Purdue, joined the Purdue Varsity Glee Club, and taught himself how to play the piano. And from there, his talent started to turn some heads.
All through college, my spending money came from winning karaoke contests. The guy who owned the karaoke bar, he was opening up a new bar, and he said, "Hey, you're in that Glee Club, right? Over at Purdue?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You know any piano players? Because I'm opening up this bar, and I got a really nice piano, and all I need is background music for people to eat to." So I'm like, "Well, sir, I play piano." He said, "No way." So right out of college, May of 1994, I started at Captain's Cove, fine dining and comedy. Now, at the same time, the Cactus was a couple years old, and they built this room for a piano bar. The manager happened to go to my high school, and he came over and caught a show, and he said, "Hey, you need to talk to my bosses, because they built a room just for what you're doing, and it would be your room." And that was November of 1995. And this November will be 21 years that I have been at this bar. I kept count for about a month, a long time ago, and I do about 60 to 75 songs a night. And a typical night is you get here before the doors open, make sure all the sound works. And then right before 9, I always FaceTime with my kids and tuck them in, you know, night-night, love you. And then do my show. Sometimes it's right at 4 hours. Most of the time it's 4:15. Last Saturday it was 5.5, but those are rare. And then, depending on if my wife has texted me a Walmart honey-do list, I'll either go to Walmart and shop at the one aisle that they're not resurfacing the wax floor.
So we can go to Walmart after the Cactus on Thursday.
Oh, I know every person that works at Walmart at 2:30 in the morning.
It's a job like none other, and Bruce says the most rewarding part is the energy that the generations of Purdue students have brought to his bar.
Every Thursday, I mean every Thursday, whether it's summer, the first Thursday of the semester, Grand Prix, homecoming, every Thursday, the energy that 300 to 1,000 college students brings to my dumb little show is overwhelming. It's you try and give more to the audience than they give you. You try and overwhelm them with your energy. I have never done it. I am 0 for 3,000 shows on giving them back as much energy as they give me. You can't. And here's the other thing. If you line up 100 piano bar players, 99 of them are gonna kick my butt. And I'm okay with that, because it's never been how good you are, it's how good can you entertain.
And he's certainly entertained with his musical abilities, but it's also his unique personality and big heart that make him Purdue's piano man.
Have I still to this day felt comfortable calling myself piano man? No. Do I embrace Purdue and their love for calling me that? You bet.
Trevor Peters, Fast Track News. Well, it's officially the holidays here at Purdue, and the season is kicked off by one of the greatest holiday traditions of them all. I'm joined by reporter Ryan Nally, who attended rehearsals of the Purdue Christmas show and heard why this year's show is so special. Ryan?
That's right, Trevor. For 83 years, Purdue Musical Organizations has put on this large-scale production. Purdue Musical Organizations is a department at Purdue that serves as ambassadors of goodwill on campus, across the country, and around the world. This year's Christmas show featured all 6 PMO ensembles and included some surprise guests, as well as Purdue's All-American Marching Band for the first time ever. The Purdue Christmas show takes place every year during the first weekend of December. Let's take a look at some of the rehearsals from this year. It's the holiday season, and preparation for the 83rd annual Purdue Christmas Show is in full swing. The large production, which features 5 vocal ensembles and a handbell choir, is put on at Elliott Hall of Music by Purdue Musical Organizations.
We represent Purdue around the country and around the world. We are ambassadors for Purdue University. We're spreading song and music throughout the world.
Purdue Musical Organizations, or PMO, will still show each ensemble on their own and together for what they call the cantata. However, PMO is adding a twist for those already familiar with the previous shows.
It's different than the years past. There's always like a storyline with like Santa and stuff, but this year it's a lot more musical than years past, so all the transitions are small ensemble groups.
We're going to be featuring the All-American Marching Band, which is a first that I know of, which is going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited for that.
For seniors Adam and Natalie, it's the legacy that brought them here.
I knew I wanted to be in Purduettes because my older sister was involved for 4 years, and she had showed me all around Purdue, and she's really the reason I even came to Purdue. I loved it when I came to visit her. I sat in on a Purduettes rehearsal, and I just fell in love.
My older brother was actually in the Glee Club, which is another thing that influenced me to join Purdue Musical Organizations. I joined my sophomore year into the Glee Club when he was a senior, and this year I'm a senior and my little brother is a freshman in the Glee Club, so it's a great opportunity to be able to perform not only with some of my best friends but my brothers as well.
It's friendships and legacies like these that make the Christmas show tradition so special.
I'm involved in this group. We have rehearsal every single day, so I'm around 60 of my very best friends every day. And I don't know how when I graduate I'm going to go from seeing them all every single day to being maybe across the country from all of them.
This is a show that a lot of people value and see as the beginning of the Christmas season, so it's a tradition for a lot of people. I know it'll be a tradition for me after I graduate to come back and see the show every year.
Ryan Nally, Fast Track News.
I'm joined by reporter Dan Gray, who had a very interesting experience a few months ago. Dan, what can you tell us about the Feast of the Hunter's Moon?
Yeah, Molly, the Greater Lafayette area is best known for downtown events such as dancing in the streets and the Taste of Tippecanoe. But the spectacle that draws the biggest crowd isn't necessarily where in the county, but when. Back in October, I was able to experience 18th century food and fun at the Feast of the Hunter's Moon. For some adventure-seeking families, fall just can't come soon enough.
There's so many activities for children out here. Several families are now in their 4th and 5th generation of feast participation, which is something we're particularly proud of.
Not even the mud could slow kids down from getting their hands on 18th century fun, like sawing logs of wood, petting livestock, joining with others for a game of cricket, or even being a part of the feast themselves. Volunteers from across the Midwest were more than happy to share their 18th century craft with visitors.
The Tippecanoe County Historical Association is a nonprofit that sponsors it, but over 50 other area nonprofits have food booths or perform services. So it's really a vital aspect of the community.
Captain Thompson gives the orders to sail the ocean wide.
While most families were indulging themselves in cultured cuisine and other festivities, volunteers like Chris continued to practice his artistry.
I remembered seeing an elderly gentleman at a tractor show doing this. So the next year at that tractor show I went back and he was sitting there chopping a bowl. I asked him if he could teach me. He told me to have a seat and I went to work.
Whether you come for the sights, tastes, or smells, chances are you'll most likely leave with a favorite event.
The French-Canadian canoemen come in off the river reenacting that. It's just beautiful.
Daniel Gray, Fast Track News.
When we come back, a yearly event brings Purdue students and community members together. Find out what it is and how this year's event turned out.
And later, Fast Track sports reporter Tommy Barrett takes you inside one of Purdue's oldest and most historical buildings on campus. Stay with us. Welcome back. It was that time of year again when the leaves started to fall and the temperatures started to drop. Back in October, volunteers went out and helped homeowners winterize their yard.
For some Purdue students, Saturdays are a time to relax, but for others, it's a chance to give back to the community. Reporter Sheena Steffen has more on the story.
On November 11th, Purdue students woke up early and headed out into the community to help residents get their homes ready for winter. From cleaning out gutters to raking weeds, students were willing to get their hands a little dirty.
I came with some friends, and we just all decided that this is something we wanted to spend our Saturday morning doing.
Chance to give back to the community, I guess. I was a Boy Scout, so we actually had a program like this back home, and I loved every second of it, so I would do it with my family every year, and something great to do again.
Winterization is an annual service project put on by Purdue students that send out volunteers all over the greater Lafayette area to winterize residents' homes. This year's event had close to 1,700 volunteers and 350 homes to work on. Since 2002, volunteers have been coming out to serve others, either with friends, clubs, or just by themselves.
This one, I just sign up by myself, and they put me in a group, and I get to meet a few new people.
If you'd like to get involved next year, visit PurdueWinterization.org for more information. Reporting for Fast Track News, Sheena Steffen.
A month ago, Purdue University Dance Marathon held its first ever color run. This year's Purdue Dance Marathon raised over $1 million for Riley Children's Hospital. This color run gave participants the opportunity to donate to Riley and have a little fun too. The event hosted Riley families and members of the community. So let's take a look at all the fun. On Saturday, October 1st, Purdue Dance Marathon hosted their first ever color run starting at Ross-Ade Stadium.
So everyone starts up there at the second stop sign and then runs down through campus, back down Lindenberg, up Cherry Lane, and then back down the side of Ross-Ade. The first mile and a half is all watered down timber paint to help the powder stick. I guess the rain would have helped, but we didn't know that was going to happen. And the second mile and a half is all powder, so your classic color run powder.
This year's Purdue Dance Marathon 5K had over 200 participants, which is an increase from the PUDM 5K last year. Not only were there student participants, but local Riley families were in attendance as well.
Why are you doing this?
Because I'm going to run.
Why are you going to run?
I don't know.
For who?
Riley?
For all the other Riley kids? Yes. Yeah, she's running for all the other Riley kids who can't be here this morning. So it means a lot. These kids mean a lot to us. We've gotten very close to a lot of them, and it's a lot of fun.
Comes to everything like Purdue, like everything PUDM related. She does push-ups every day and puts it on Facebook, like days until the marathon, like counting down. So her and her family are super into it, and they come to everything we do.
With PUDM being a month early this year, hosting the 5K did have some challenges.
So we used to have an event sponsored by PESC that was Paint Wars, so it was like paint dodgeball, and we had a 5K. This year, because of like the marathon being a month earlier, there was a lot more of condensing of the schedule, so color runs are like the thing nowadays. So we thought that we would combine both of the events into one, which became the color run this year.
The Dance Marathon is October 22nd, starting at 6 p.m. in the COREC and ends October 23rd at noon. If you are interested in participating, you can register and donate at PUDM.org. Molly Shaughnessy, Fast Track News.
Some seniors at Purdue may remember how their freshman year was a bit chaotic weather-wise, with the very heavy winter that caused several cancellations of classes due to severe weather conditions, and also a very rare tornado outbreak that occurred in late November of 2013.
Overall, there were 28 confirmed tornadoes that occurred in Indiana that Sunday evening, with one tornado hitting Southwestern Middle School and Mittoni Elementary School in Tippecanoe County. With more on this story, we turn it over to Fast Track's Matthew Seedorf.
I heard the sirens go off. I called my husband and I said, go to the basement. The sirens are going off. He said, I'll be fine. It was 2:30, and so I would have had kids on a normal weekday. So I said, I'll be fine. I'll duck and cover. And he said, no, it's really bad in Illinois. You have to come home.
November 17, 2013 will always be remembered by all the students and faculty who attended Southwestern Middle School and Mintoni Elementary School located in Tippecanoe County. At 2:50 p.m., a tornado cut a path through both schools, causing severe damage. Principal Schumann reflects on the damage the tornado caused.
The tornado hit the west end of the building on the gym, and that began the walls tumbling down into the gym, into the cafeteria. It took a middle wall between the cafeteria and our band room out too, and then proceeded down this outside of the south side of the building, took out 3 of the classrooms' outside walls, and that impacted the ceiling coming down in the main hallway. And those are the major focus that hit during the tornado.
The faculty and students of the schools can also remember where they were the moment the tornado hit.
So I went out, got in the car, drove home, made it home. I only live about 5-6 minutes away, into the driveway, into the garage, walked in the house. I'm like, see, I'm fine. And about 5 minutes after that, I kept getting texts from people because then we lost our power. And they kept saying, Southwestern was hit, Southwestern was hit. And I kept saying, I was just there, it's fine. It really is, it's fine. And then they kept sending me pictures from kids' Facebooks and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this time my husband was correct. I needed to go home.
And then my mother told me to go downstairs, and then after about an hour, I looked up on the TV. It said that the tornado went through our area, which is very close to us. I just felt very sad when I saw that the school was destroyed, and especially Mintoni and Southwestern. So.
After nearly 2 years of reconstruction and renovation to Southwestern Middle School, it was able to reopen once again, and everyone enjoys their new school.
One of the comments I made is I felt like I was teaching in a dungeon for so long because it was so, they changed all the lights, the walls are brighter, the floors are brighter, even the opening here is brand new. So the whole building had a much lighter air to it, so it was really bright, and it was good to see all the kids back. I mean, a school building without children is kind of a sad place.
I was very excited because my sister and my brother both went here, and then like my grandmother went here when I was at high school. So I felt very proud to be here when it finally opened, and I felt just very happy because I could be part of the school.
The tornado was rated EF2 by the National Weather Service, and it traveled for nearly 3 miles. With the tornado striking on Sunday, no students were in the school and no injuries were reported. Matthew Seedorf, Fast Track News.
Now we're going to send it over to Fast Track sports reporter Tommy Barrett, coming to you from Mackey Arena for this week's sports news.
Thanks, guys, and welcome inside Mackey Arena for this week's sports update. As Purdue continues to change every day, one place has remained the same: Lambert Fieldhouse. Many students have been to Lambert Fieldhouse one way or the other, whether it's to watch a sporting event or even take an exam during finals week. A place that has housed many Purdue legends will only continue to grow as time goes on. Lambert Fieldhouse has bridged the gap from the old Boilers into the new. Before Mackey Arena was built in 1967, Lambert Fieldhouse was home to the Purdue Boilermakers. Under the realm of legendary head coach Ward "Piggy" Lambert, Purdue boasted a total of 16 All-Americans, 31 first-team All-Big Ten selections, and one of the all-time greats, the 1932 National Player of the Year, John Wooden.
Kind of a typical Indiana basketball place to be in the state of Indiana. You know, bleachers, 9,000 people in a big venue. And there were some great basketball players. And Purdue's basketball tradition is probably as rich as any sport we have. But, you know, the thing you'll always, when you talk about Lambert, the thing people always come back to, they'll talk about some of the great moments, but they'll talk about the tragedy when the bleachers fell. And, you know, the bleachers we took out of the south end zone a few years ago, those are the original bleachers from Lambert Fieldhouse. Now, they'd been refurbished, and, you know, from a safety standpoint, but I told people we're not putting another nickel into those bleachers. They're gone.
So what does the inside of Lambert Fieldhouse look like today?
As the basketball arena moved in Mackey, which is going to be 50 years old next year, moved, we converted that to an indoor track. That was probably done in the, I don't know, the 60s or 70s, but we wanted to use the space, and became, I think, a good facility for the track team.
Before the Aquatic Center was built in 2001, Lambert was also home to the Purdue swimming and diving teams. Although Lambert may be old, Purdue plans to continue to improve on this historic landmark.
I think from an athletic standpoint, you'll continue to upgrade the track. You know, those tracks wear out after a period of time, so we've done a couple of resurfacings in there. You'll notice they're doing some tuck pointing of the windows and the like. There's some masonry work that needs to be done. I don't see the university, unless it figures out what to do with the other half of the building, taking it down.
According to Burke, Lambert will continue to bridge the gap from old boilers to new.
A lot of history, a lot of tradition, a lot of great performances, both in swimming and in track and field in the facility. And to this day, I think it's still a good competition facility for track and field, and as I said, a good wrestling practice facility.
Tommy Barrett, Fast Track. College basketball season is underway, and we met with one of the main men behind the scenes of Boilermaker basketball. Few people have been as close to the program as Larry Clisby, or Cliz, who's been Purdue's play-by-play broadcaster for over 4 decades. We investigated to see just how much Purdue basketball means to him and how much he means to the program.
Matthias with it off, gets it back. Now a shot by Thompson, a 3. Good! He's hit another! 3 triples for P.J. Thompson.
For almost 40 years, Larry Clisby has been more than just a play-by-play announcer. He has become an iconic staple of Purdue's entire basketball program.
I want to feel the emotion of the game. I want to be part of the game. And so being Purdue's announcer, I feel what the player feels or the coach feels or a manager or anyone that's associated with the team.
He is a very genuine and good-hearted guy that just really cares about Purdue basketball.
He's just a part of the culture, and the way that he talks about basketball, the way that he kind of likes basketball to be played, I think is how Purdue does.
They can get me on that bus or on that plane, I'll be glad to do it because I really enjoy it.
He's just a huge impact on his team with his voice and interacts with the guys, outside of the scene. So he's a huge part, that's behind the scenes that a lot of people just don't see.
Clisby is affectionately known as Cliz among the basketball community. And off the court, Cliz has made a huge impact on the personal lives of the staff and players alike.
Always upbeat, and that just brings a joy probably to each player on the team, having him around.
He has so many stories just about when Coach Katie was here and Coach Painter and everything, and he's just hilarious. He cracks me up.
He's just a smooth guy, man. He'll come in and he'll just, have his little swag going, a little pep in his step. So, he just always brings some type of energy, whether it's being cool or whether it's, just trying to get us ready for the game.
I'll call him when someone says, I think it's time to quit. I don't know who that person will be, So got to move down there quicker. PJ a 3 on the way. Bullseye! That's the end of the half. It's my town. This is where I'll be forever. So just luck, That's how it was.
Robert Dupler, Fast Track News.
That's a wrap for Sports Inside Mackey. Let's send it back over to Trevor and Molly one last time.
Thanks, Tommy. That's it for this week's edition of Fast Track. I'm Molly Shaughnessy.
And I'm Trevor Peters. For these stories and more, make sure to follow Fast Track News on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube page. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.